Hey, Yetta, is it a buyer's market or balanced?
Nope. It's still a seller's market.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward together with the Dekker Team.
We are honored to welcome you to another episode of Life's Inside Track. I'm Yetta Dekker.
And I'm Ken Dekker.
And it's where we get to share tactics, tips, tools, techniques, and some truths that we all need. We all deserve. You, I, everyone. So we can turn our house into home, our families thrive, we live the best life possible, and make really great financial decisions. We are going to consider there are some realities. There are some facts of the real estate market that we need to talk about. Think about, talk about. That's what the trip on my tongue was about.
I know you love stats.
Yeah. And the reality is, though, that the real estate market is being something right now, and it is always becoming something continuously as well. It's the shift between what it's being right now and what it's becoming.
Right.
So we're going to start with the facts of what it is being in this moment, which is a setup in later segment of this episode of what it's becoming.
Yeah. So let's talk about what it's done in the last 4 weeks prior to the recording of this show. And what's interesting is in those same 4-week period last year.
So basically May over May.
Yeah, pretty much. A little bit into, because it's 4 weeks, a little bit into
the last week of April, the first 3 weeks of May.
Yeah.
If we want to be precise.
Which we do.
Which we do because it's facts. And this is the one area of stats, what we're going to talk about now, that we can actually go to the weekly. The rest of the stats, which we'll talk about after we extend an invitation to you shortly, those stats are going to be monthly. And those are a little more delayed in coming to us.
Yeah. All of our stats are a little bit delayed because they have to be accumulated and tallied and whatever and put into a format that we can read it.
Except for this chunk of weekly that is pretty fluid, almost. It's to the week. It doesn't take very long to tally the number of listings on the market. Yeah.
Or the number of listings coming to the market. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. Last year, the average in those 4-week period was about 400 houses per week came to market.
Into the market.
Right.
And this year,
600.
Wait for it. Drum roll.
No, I blurted it out. Spoiler alert. 600. That's a 50% increase in the number of homes coming to the market
each week.
So if sales weren't hugely higher, what you would see would be the inventory would stay similar. But if sales are the same or less, we should be getting more inventory, more choice for buyers, right?
Yep. More frustration for sellers.
Maybe. And let's talk about that. Where did the buyers end up? Like what did we actually sell in the last 4 weeks on average?
I forget the number, so you're going to have to stay with it. I know it's 375 this year.
Yeah, it was 450 last year. Right. So 75 sales per week for the last 4 weeks. Less. So that's, what was that, about 17% decrease in sales. So here we have 50% increase in number of properties coming to market and a 17% decrease in the number selling. So those two factors alone may cause some future stimuli in the market, which we're not going to talk about in this segment, right?
We're going to get to that shortly.
Yeah. Now, it's also important to know that there are micro and macro markets, like Ottawa overall or Ontario is a macro. Ottawa is still macro. And then you get into micro, which would be neighborhoods, type of housing, price ranges, that kind of thing. Yeah. And for that, you want to be part of our community.
Well, because if you're not, it's really hard to get accurate data that you can interpret the facts accurately.
So it's also important to know that 90% of millionaires have real estate investments. And it takes well over $1 million to retire now at any level of comfort, right? Mm-hmm. So those two factors, along with you may want to know exactly what real estate's doing in your neighborhood, is the reason to send an email to together@dekkerteam.com. And then you'll join our community. And then we'll be together. And we can share information back and forth. Won't that be great?
Well, it will be. I don't know why you're asking me. He wants to be asking you. Wouldn't that be great? We want to connect with you so that we can give you the facts. You don't have to rely on he said, she said, they said. Mm-hmm. Right?
As a matter of fact, even the media sometimes will sensationalize things that are happening. And the other thing the media doesn't have is the hands-on, like we're dealing with buyers and sellers every week, every day, some days. And we get to see, plus we have, 100 agents, over 100 agents in the market. So they are seeing what's happening. We're having conversations with them twice weekly as to what are the buyers doing? What are the number of multiple offers? Are we going above asking? Are we going below asking? What's happening? So we got our hand on the pulse, right?
We absolutely do. Mm-hmm. And when I said, or Ken said at the beginning of the segment, that was it a seller's market or was it a buyer's market? Was it a balanced market? I guess you asked, was it a buyer's or balanced? And I said, no, sellers. Right. And I'm sure if you were hearing that, you're saying, that's not the vibe I got going on. Mm-hmm. Well, here's why it feels that way. Anytime we have 1 to 3 months worth of inventory. And this is across the board. So again, this is macro, not micro, across the Ottawa Real Estate Board, which goes quite rural as well. There was last year 2 months worth of inventory at this time of year. This year, there's 3 months worth of inventory, which means we're still at the tail end of a seller's market, because anything up to 3 months worth of inventory, that it would take 3 months for the homes that are currently on the market to sell, is how we describe inventory, is still a seller's market. And so we will chat a little bit further in future segments why it may not be feeling so much like a seller's market, even though we're within the 3 month range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, like cumulative days on market
are only 20.
Yeah. So on average, a property will sell in 20 days. And the number of showings are fairly low.
9 right, on
showings
average
for a house to sell. So if you have a house for sale and you've had more than 9 showings and it's not sold, that tells you there's something
not working.
Might be off.
Right. Well, something is off. Right. And last year it was 17 days on market instead of 20 on average this year. So negligible in terms of the length of time increase. So many good facts. Yeah. But what do they mean?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to chat about in the next segment.
Now, we did have some clients that recently got appraisals done, right? And you think an appraisal is a factual thing, but it was an estate sale. They had 2 appraisals done. Those appraisals came in at like 15% spread, right? And then we got the property on the market, got 3 offers, and basically sold it for somewhere in the middle of those 2 appraisals.
At 95% of the asking price.
Right.
And so just because we're getting multiples, that's another fact, doesn't mean it's going over asking.
Yeah. So do you want the facts? Connect with us. We're honored to position you to build wealth wisely because it's about much more than just money.
Moving forward with the Dekker Team. Moving forward.